Welcome to Gentle Yoga with Jan. I'm Jan, and today we are going to go over easy pose or Sukhasana. Not so easy for some to get into, but with some props and some modifications, I'll hopefully make it easier for you to be in this position. If you have a thick, dense blanket, or you can even use a block, get those handy, and I'll see you on the mat. So, easy pose, or Sukhasana, is sitting cross-legged on the floor. Not so comfortable for many. It's a pose that we use usually to start a practice or end a practice or for meditation. Some might prefer just to sit in a chair, and if getting on the floor is too challenging, that is an option. When people have you sit like this and it's not comfortable for your knees or your hips or your back, you definitely have the option just to sit in a chair. But for those of you who can get on the floor, we're going to go over some mechanics and things you can do to help the spine be more comfortable. So in this position, you can see when I'm just sitting like this, the lower back is more rounded than if I were to prop up my hips. So I'm going to show you, and another way too to determine whether you would benefit from putting something under your hips or not, is while you're sitting in this pose, if your knees have a tendency to be up high, if you're sitting in this pose and your knees are way up here, and that's as far as you can get them down to the floor, the idea is not to be able to just sit like this and bring the knees on the floor. You might think, oh, that's the ultimate goal, but it's not. Some of you may not even get this. This is just how my hips are made. Some people's hips are not made that way, or we have tightness in the back. So if your knees are up this high, higher than the hips, you definitely want to prop up the hips. And to prop up the hips, we're just going to take a blanket. Now there's different levels of a blanket. You can make it depending on how you fold it. So we'll start up really high. So I'm going to make this blanket pretty high up off the ground. It's a pretty big surface here, high surface. So I'm going to show you the difference between sitting like this. I want you just to notice where how the low back is. Ideally, we want to stack the spine so that there is a little bit of an inward curve in the low back. That is the natural position of the spine, and that is more supportive for the rest of the body than being here. As you can notice that when the body is curving here, the shoulders also come forward. When we roll to the front of the sitting bones or lift up the hips, the shoulders just automatically come back, and the head sits more in a proper position over the shoulders. So let me just show you what that looks like. So if my knees were up high, and I have students, and this is really common, is when this is the position that this is the furthest they can get their knees down. Not that, again, that's not the person. So in a relaxed state, their knees are up here. But as soon as I put them up on a bolster, their knees will drop down, their hips will open, and the back says, thank you. So as you can see, now I have a little bit of a natural curve in the low back, and that's the way it's supposed to be. So if you're going to be sitting, even if you don't have back problems, or even if you don't have the knees up high when you're sitting like this, you will benefit the back by propping up the hips. You may not need to use it and be up this high. Like I say, you can unfold the blanket and just have it this high and still prop up the hips just a little bit, and that will support your back. It'll feel so much better. If you've never tried this, I encourage you to do this. So at the beginning of your practice, most studios or most yoga places will have blankets for you. If you're at home, grab a dense blanket, or you can use your block. So you can just put your little bottom on there, rolls the back forward, feels so much better. So when you're sitting in meditation the beginning of a yoga practice or ending your practice, get those hips up on something. Then you can just sit and relax the arms, and notice the chest is nice and open, the head is over the shoulders, and you can sit and relax and not be uncomfortable with your back. So if you're feeling pressure on the ankles as well, you can, in this position, especially if you're going to be here a while, put a blanket or something underneath there. So the idea is to pay attention, be aware of what's going on in your body, what doesn't feel good, what does feel good, and make the proper adjustments. There is no reason to be in pain or uncomfortable while practicing yoga. So I hope that was helpful. Get your seat up onto something. If you have any questions or concerns about this pose or anything else, be sure and leave me a note and I'll get back to you. Like the page, make sure you're following me so you can be updated on the upcoming classes. Have a great day.